Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc., where the writers are fresh off the presses and the ink is not yet dry.
On the show, we make a left pad save on a great piece from Lance, a backup plan for the Flyers if Nolan Patrick can't go and Morgan Frost isn't quite ready.
Back, we go to the days of old, Broad Street Bullies taking care of the porch. To today, it seems that we are bullied on Broad Street. Now say it ain't so.
All right. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. We're sitting here with the Writer Extraordinaire Lance Green. How you doing, Lance?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. If I was any better, I'd be you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, man, we got a lot of stuff to get into tonight. And, Lance, I got to tell you, first of all, congratulations on making Bleacher Reports for the 5th week in a row now.
Right back at you, sir.
Yeah, man. Thank you. That gives us the salute, especially for that, and especially thanks to Bill for jumping on the show there with us. And we're looking forward to many more long conversations with Bill in the future.
Quite the wealth of knowledge.
Oh my gosh, that guy was awesome. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about what he's got to say. I really loved his articles and all the information he gave us too about the Flyers alumni too. Something else I want to say too, a huge congratulations to Flyers Nitty Gritty for getting sponsorship from Jim's South Street, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That is just beyond awesome. Okay, so there you go. That's way cool, and yeah, man, that's what this is all about. Okay, so congratulations to you guys and the Flyers Nitty Gritty group. That's awesome sauce. So I have to say that, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have you join us for yet another great show that is just filled with some insight and some awesome knowledge about the Flyers. So let's jump right in. What do you say, Lance?
I'm ready.
Yeah, man. Let's go. All right. Woo! Got it all ready to go? Yeah, man.
I think so.
You think so? Okay. The first one we're going to get into here tonight is your first article that you posted on Flyers Nitty Gritty here a little while ago, this past week, was posted on Flyers Nitty Gritty. And it was a very insightful article, too. It was entitled, A Backup Plan for the Flyers If Nolan Patrick Can't Go and Morgan Frost Isn't Ready. And I tell you what, I like that you're thinking outside of the box on this. I mean, if you ask me. I really think that this is some really great insight and looking out for not only the needs of now, but the needs of the future. Okay? And that to me right there, that's why I really enjoy reading your articles, Lance, and that's why I really like your perspective on things, because you do have that, hey, I'm the goalie sitting back watching the team kind of perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you always got to stay open and always be thinking one step ahead, just in case.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Just in case. And see, that's the other thing too. It does kind of seem like the Flyers general manager, Chuck Fletcher, does seem to be kind of setting things up here a little bit for just in case purposes. Look, Nolan Patrick has signed his offer sheet. Okay, and he is on the team until the end of this year. And do you think he'll be ready for the start of the season?
I think it obviously depends on when the actual start of the season is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we know, he's been participating in scrimmages, and he's said to be having less and less headaches as he goes along. And they're not as intense. So, with less severity to him, time will come and he'll get back in that rhythm. We'll just have to see. We obviously all hope that he's 100% at the time the season starts. But if you talk to Chuck Fletcher, he's a little bit optimistic about it as well. He thinks he's going to be here at some point next season, but he just doesn't know and can't put a finger on when just yet.
Right.
So I think from a business standpoint, he's got to have not put that faith all into Nolan Patrick just yet, and have that backup plan, as we
See,
discussed throughout this article.
right, exactly. And that's one of the things, too, that I really appreciate about this, too. Look, we've seen Nolan skate in non contact scrimmages. Look, you played. What's the difference between we've seen from Nolan so far and what's a
Yeah,
non contact scrimmage mean? I mean, seriously, man, explain that to me, please, would you?
yeah. I mean, I get it. A scrimmage is where guys just go out there and look to keep certain skills sharp for the most point. They aren't going on full tilt, and things aren't going to be played as if it was a real NHL game. I myself never really took practices or scrimmage that seriously. I went in with my own goals in mind. I think, for instance, like you just said, I was a goalie, so I wasn't really out there to entertain the showboaters, trying out all their new crazy moves on me. I was out there with a purpose of setting up my angles, making sure they're sharp and crisp, and
Yeah.
when I went to the right spot, as far as coming off the post or something like that. Once I achieved those goals, and I think I was ready, where I wanted to be for the game. I was more just joking around, laughing, and I was always more of a gamer in that mindset. When it came time to game time, I was a totally different person,
Right.
and I was the first one at the rink. I wouldn't even really talk to anybody. I would just set in the locker room really early with music on, trying to wrap my head around what was going to come out of this game. And I think, with Patrick being, is he going to be in shape? Yeah, he'll be in better shape with now that he's skating and stuff like that. But he won't be that game ready, and it'll take him a few games once he is back into playing
I
full
mean,
games. It'll
obviously.
take him. It'll take him a little bit to get into that
Obviously,
that
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's just trying to go through the motions to stay healthy, to stay on ice, and to see how it's going to be going.
Yeah, no, no, no. Look, I completely and utterly agree with you on that. And any player coming back from even a week off, okay, or even a couple of days off, that first game back, you're still just a little bit rusty. You're still just a little bit hesitant. You
Yeah,
know what I
he's
mean?
definitely been off for a long, long time, and it's good. He's kind of getting that little bit of confidence back, and he's feeling himself getting closer, and I think he's you know getting more out of it and wanting to get back on the ice more and more.
I can't agree with you more. And look, because of not knowing for sure on the start date of the NHL, that's obviously going to affect when Patrick is going to be back. You know what I mean? Obviously. So, look, if the start date is going to be tomorrow, then I don't think that's going to bode well for him being able to go.
Yeah,
Okay. But if it starts, say, maybe mid January, okay, he might be able to go by then.
let's
Well,
hope so.
let's hope so. I mean, look, that's all we can do is hope and pray. You know what I mean? But one of the other things that you point out as well, too, is what would prevent Morgan Frost from being able to step into that role, you know what I mean, if Nolan can't go?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously all the Flyers fans are excited to see what the kid has. They want to see him out there with a big club. They want to see what he can do. We had a small stint of that earlier last season, and we got to remember he's still young. And judging by the actions of AV and Fletcher, they're obviously the real ones that he's going to have to come out and impress out of camp here. And just by looking at where he was at the end of last season, he was sent back down to the Phantoms. He was always in the right position, but he just couldn't get that goal in when he was needed to.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got to look at the fact that the Flyers, instead of bringing him back up at the trade deadline, they went out and got two centers,
Yeah,
Grant, and Thompson. So it kind of bodes, not so great for him. And even carrying that one step farther into the playoffs, when Grant was absolutely goalless throughout the whole playoffs with the Flyers,
Still didn't bring
he
him in.
still didn't get brought in, even though he was a black ace. So, we got to remember that these guys didn't draft him. So, I think he is very, very talented, but he may need just a little bit longer. And if Nolan Patrick can't go and Frost isn't quite ready yet, not saying he definitely isn't. He may have had a great summer, who knows? But
Yeah.
I think they to have at least some sort of backup plan here.
Look, we've spoken at length about how we feel about Morgan Frost and how we feel about his play. And we have spoken at length about how we feel about Nolan Patrick and his play. And look, we both agree that Nolan Patrick is a game changer if he is healthy and available and in the lineup. Because he checks off that box of a 3C. Chink! Checked off. Okay, cool. We're good. Okay, because really, that's kind of all we really need. And he's got a good scoring touch. Okay, he's good on the puck. He doesn't turn the puck over a lot. You know what I mean? And he does have... He, to me, is a game changer if he's on the ice. Nolan Patrick, that is. I also kind of feel that Morgan Frost, although was not drafted by the current administration of the Flyers right now, I think that they haven't quite seen enough of him in certain situations. He's not really been able to come out on top. I don't necessarily think that he might have been set up for success though either, because he was in a lot of defensive zone, areas and stuff like that. And for an offensive player to be constantly in the defensive zone, that doesn't really help your numbers very much. Your analytics don't look pretty,
Sure.
So, look, I really think that Frost is going to go, or Patrick is going to go, and if not, I think Frost is going to be able to step in. I understand he's young, but it's not like we're talking about a defenseman here. And it's, to me, in my opinion, I have seen throughout the amount of years that I've seen hockey, it's easier for offensive players to come into the game and be effective more quickly than it is for defensive players to come into the game, especially at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, with the team bringing in Kevin Hayes, it has helped immensely in this sense, because now Patrick, a number 2 overall pick a few years ago, doesn't have to be that next guy behind Couturier.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And now he can be better suited in a third line role here, and Frost for that matter too. I think that if Patrick can't go, Frost will be better suited with a third line, and the Flyers definitely have depth on the wings to be able to support them and give them some help, as opposed to other teams that aren't that great down the depth chart. But I still think they should to sit back and look at a sort of stopgap just in case those two guys aren't where they want them to be at the start of the season. They may be later on in the season or in the playoffs for sure, but it's at the start of the season that I'm kind of worried about, because with this shortened season, we can't get off on the wrong foot here as the Flyers, go for as a whole.
Yeah.
We got to get rolling. We got to be ready right away, which I think AV will have the guys ready for sure, but I think they might need that one guy.
It's proven that he was able to take the team when we went to Prague, and they were able to put the team out there in Prague and were able to come out and play well against Chicago. Chicago had to do the same thing. But AV, this was his first time with the team. It was his first camp, and then he has to go to Prague. Okay. So,
right.
I really believe that he will definitely have the team ready to go day one. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about players that are going to be available for that. And in the article, you do talk about a possible stopgap here in the shape of Frederic the Goat Gautier.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
I think you hit it right on the head there.
All right, my man. He's a UFA from Toronto, which you do point out there in the article. And what makes you think him? What makes you think he'd be a good choice for the
Sure. I mean,
Flyers?
I think the team has a great backup plan for the third line center already in the form of Scott Lawton. So that is not such a big deal, but what is then is the fourth line spot. If Patrick's not healthy enough to go at the start and Frost really just isn't there, I think they could use this guy. I mean, he's 25. He was a former first round pick, and he's got something that guys on the offense don't have on the current roster: size and strength. He's 6'5" and 239 pounds here. Okay, he's great defensively. He's a 200-foot player, like we all know AV likes,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
could be that absolute cog to come in and just plug that hole, and be that person to take over for that short stint until Patrick or Frost are ready to come in and take that spot away from him.
Exactly. And you know what, though? This is the other thing, too. This is why I like the way you write, and I like your approach to things and you're thinking of outside the box. Because, look, we're going on all of this stuff based off the fact that we feel that Drew's going to be better playing on a wing instead of down the center. If he plays down the center, then this kind of becomes a moot
Yeah,
discussion,
yeah, definitely.
right? So we're basing this all on the fact that we feel that G is going to be on the wing. So,
Yeah, that doesn't mean that he won't be in the face-off circle at
oh, we already
times,
know
for
that.
sure. We already know he's great in the
Yeah,
offensive
yeah.
circle, and he's going to take those draws. But another thing about this kid is too, he he beat out Kevin Hayes and Scott Lawton's numbers in the circle. Okay, Gauthier was 1 point behind uh, Giroux in his face-off draws, wins totals. So this kid can
Wow.
take some pressure off an aging
Drew.
Giroux, so he doesn't have
Wow.
to take as
Wow.
many important draws, and maybe Couturier in that same
I
sense
was
as
just gonna
well.
say, yeah, 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 because Couturier is right up there with Giroux when it comes to
Couturier
taking. Yeah, yeah,
Couturier
yeah,
passes Giroux now
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
and
that
face
sense.
offs.
He's amazing in the face-off dot, and he's obviously had a great teacher in Giroux. So we
Hey,
the Flyers as a whole, I don't think have that first line winger that could take Giroux's spot. So adding in another guy like this who's that great in the offensive zone draws, he's or in any draws, he's going to
yeah,
be
right.
an integral part to kind of give those aging players like Giroux a rest.
And that's the other thing too, is
Excuse me.
oh yeah, that's the other thing too. We have to make sure that we because look, Giroux's not getting any younger, and the same thing
Mhm.
with Couturier, and we look. I understand we're trying to put these guys out there in key situations where we need to have them. Okay, and that makes complete and utter sense because they're the important cogs on the team. But and here's the other thing too. If these guys aren't available and we're able to grab somebody like this, who's to say that at the trade deadline we can't make some moves to move some of these guys away, especially if Nolan Patrick's able to come back, or especially if Morgan Frost is better, or whatever the case is. Look, here's the thing though, with Myers not yet re-signed though, I mean, and you're talking about at the beginning of the year, Myers is not yet signed. How much of a raise do you think the GOAT's going to get here? I mean, he just came off of a 2-year, $1.8 million contract, which, I mean, you do point out in the article that he's due a slight raise. Well, okay, how much of a raise? And even though we don't have Myers signed yet, now what?
Okay. Well, and that's why I kind of picked this guy too, because he's in our price range, I think, still. I'm not so worried that Myers isn't signed yet. Um, Fletcher has shown with TK and Provy's contracts
Yeah,
already previously that he's not in any rush to get a guy re-signed. He's going to do it under his terms for sure. And I think this guy in Gauthier he's coming from Toronto. Toronto's not looking to have him back. because they signed Big Joe Thornton to come in and take that kind of spot and be that definite player
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, to fill that role with size and toughness as well. So I think we should be able to bring him in on a deal that it's a 1 year, maybe $1 million, which the Flyers will definitely have left, just to add some reassurance to the management that this team will be okay even if those other guys can't go.
And you know what else too? And this is something maybe that this is because of this. Maybe these are some of these players that we could bring in that we wouldn't have to worry about protecting some of these guys. Because, look, it is going to be a shortened season, and I have a feeling that if it is going to be the shortened season, I have a feeling that the NHL and the NHLPA are going to allow for a couple more players on the rosters, especially like they did with the playoffs and the bubbles and all that other stuff. They allowed 3 goalies and 27 players or something,
I
or
think so, yeah.
something ridiculous like that. It was like a total of 31 total players could be out there, whatever.
Right.
And you're going to also have to have a reserve COVID list too.
Yeah, with everything going on,
exactly.
For sure.
So you're going to have some guys back there that are completely in a bubble that are waiting to go. Are some of these guys going to be in that bubble, or are they going to be on the team? That's going to be the case. We're going to get a good look for them in camp. So, I mean, look, that's why I really like your approach to this article. You know what I mean? We really hope that Nolan's ready to go, and if not, Morgan can step in. I don't foresee a problem with that for sure, though. But I mean, look, I understand why you feel like the way you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Morgan Frost. Don't get me wrong here, guys. I'm just saying that the team shouldn't feel that they have to push him to be that guy if he's not ready.
Yeah.
There's other options out there that can, like you said, could easily be traded away if he, at some point later on in the season, becomes that guy that can step up. It's all judging where these guys are at, and believe me, AV and Fletcher have been checking in on these guys, and they know where they stand and where they don't better than any of us, obviously. So we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, that's about the only thing we can really say, honestly. I mean, and Nolan playing and coming back, hopefully that would silence the critics, and allow this young man to be the best player that he possibly can be. And if not, then, look, we've got a host of other players waiting in the wings to take that spot,
Yeah.
And it would be a real shame, and we're hoping that's not the case. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, and even if it is, I think I applaud Fletcher in his signing with Patrick. He signed him to a prove it deal. He could have re-signed him for multiple years, but with his injury history and the uncertainty of everything, he gave him a slight raise or whatever, and he's looking at a prove it deal, and you're going to get more out of those type players when they have that type deal.
Well, yeah, because now they're motivated now. You know what I mean? They're way more motivated. You know what I mean? All right, speaking about being motivated, all right, you got your mask strapped on, your glove ready, stick ready.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the next article about how the Flyers go from Broad Street Bullies to the boys who are bullied on Broad Street. I think I got my mouthpiece knocked out on that one, Lance. I mean...
I never wear one, so that's probably why I'm missing teeth and had to buy new ones.
Okay, perhaps maybe you should have invested in maybe one of those.
You can't trash talk with a mouthpiece.
Right. So. See, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Look, we're on the same bloody page here. Okay, we both agree that fighting is leaving the game, and we're not looking to have guys that are just that's all they're out there to do. That's not what we're looking for, and that's not what we're advocating here.
No.
But there's still a place for it. Okay, and I really do think there is a place for it, Lance. The article, man, this one speaks to my heart, man. Okay, because it brings back, because I feel the same way. It brings back the great memories of guys like Rick Tocchet, guys like Keith Primo, guys like that jersey sitting there behind you, Eric Lindros, right? Them guys, man, they didn't have a problem dropping the gloves. They didn't have a problem smashing you into the boards. And guess what? Those guys scored a boatload of goals, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
What? Even Sammy Kapanen, who is 5'0", right? That guy could score goals, and he didn't care.
His son's the same way now.
Exactly. So don't tell me that. Look, Terry Krug. We could go through the list of guys that are doing it now. I mean, come on. Tampa Bay went out and got guys to do that so they could win the cup. You know what I mean? Come on. So, we got bullied in the playoffs. No doubt about that. And you definitely point out that fact so perfectly in your article. Why don't you explain to us how we got bullied in the playoffs?
For sure. The Islanders were a tough opponent for sure. The Flyers were beat in that series because they couldn't score. Puck battles and time of possession are important, guys. And this is where guys like Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck help the Islanders so much just by using that body hitting, getting guys riled up and protecting the puck and winning puck battles to get it back for their team. The Flyers were way out of their comfort zone, and they couldn't get to their preferred spots on the ice at all. Why? Because of the physicality and the grit and the toughness that is needed during this grueling 7-game series. Okay, they came out strong, but then over time, the Islanders just proved that they wanted it more and they were more physical. It still plays a part in the game, guys. No matter how much you think it's finesse and
skill
skating and skill and all this stuff. And just like you touched on, I think the Lightning proved us better than anybody. They went out this season, coming into this season, and picked up a guy like Patrick Maroon, a guy that is willing to drop the gloves. He can still offer you some offensive capabilities there, and some bump and everything. But
and point,
he brings that toughness.
Yeah,
and before they didn't have that, and that's why they got bumped out in the first round.
Exactly, they brought in Point too. They brought in Point too. He was another one that was not afraid to drop the gloves. I mean, he was a little bit banged up there in the playoffs, but throughout the year, I mean,
Barclay Goodrow, I think as well. Goodrow or whatever.
Goodrow.
He was another guy they brought in from San Jose to bring that little toughness and even though he's a little smaller, he still would throw down with anybody if the reason called for it.
Exactly. Look, and in the latest article you have. That was posted on FlyersNittyGritty.com. You do mention that there's such a player that we could potentially fill this role on the Flyers, and you mentioned Trent Frederic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now look, I can understand why you mentioned him. Okay, but here's the thing that I want to point out that you specifically said previously. The fact that we were bullied during the playoffs. Montreal started it at first. Okay, yeah, we came out strong and we played the round-robin games, but we weren't really playing the same game that everybody else was playing. And by the time we got to the New York Islanders, we were already figured out. Okay?
For sure.
Okay. And so Montreal was the team that really started it, okay? Their defense and their offense basically did exactly what the Islanders did, or the Islanders did exactly what they did. They clogged up the neutral zone. They prevented us from getting to the spots where we wanted to get to. And then we were being too cute and trying to do too many passes instead of shooting the fracking puck. And we had a whole bunch of guys on the team that were supposed to be shooting the puck but didn't. So the planets weren't aligned, obviously.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a game of hot potato out there, and they were just passing the puck around and around and around and around and around and not shooting.
I mean, come on, guys, you gotta shoot. Okay, so what about Trent Frederick?
So the reason why I posed this guy as a piece that could help and bring this added toughness is because our own guy in Sam Moran that could do that isn't healthy. He's inconsistent. He's healthy now, and hopefully he stays healthy. But
yeah, hopefully
he hasn't been in the past, and he's that guy that could, but he can't be trusted currently with that. Now Trent is a former first-round player as well. He plays for the Bruins organization, and he brings that kind of toughness to the game. And it's mostly this year with the Providence Bruins in the AHL. He led the AHL this year in penalty minutes, this past season in penalty minutes, and he dominated any fight that he was in, okay? If you watch the videos that I posted on my article,
yeah,
you can see that. And what I love about Trent the most is if you watch one in particular on there, you can see a guy was absolutely boarded, taken a run at and boarded into the boards. And Trent did not hesitate, did not even think twice about it. He came to that player's aid, grabbed that guy, and gave him the what for, as to prove that this just can't happen. He's not going to put up with that. And I love this guy for that. He was a point per game player in before he was drafted and in his time in the NCAA. Now he even got the chance to come up at some points last season to the Bruins and proved his worth on the NHL level in a fight in his first game that he decisively won. And this is not, guys. Again, this is not to come out of pocket and we're just saying we want goons on the team again.
Yeah, no. No, see, that's exactly one of the reasons why I wanted to really focus on this article, because look, we were the Broad Street Bullies. The key word here is were.
Right.
All right. We're not advocating for us to be the Broad Street Bullies, but we're advocating for it to be teams and players don't want to come to play here in Philadelphia.
Right. We want to make it a tough game. I think the time of goon is obviously done. A guy who steps out to fight is just gone. Just out there to fight is just gone. It's a thing of the past, like we said. But there still needs to be a guy on the team that everyone fears, okay? There needs to be that policeman on the ice.
Thank you.
Okay? That guy that can step up and defend his star player's honor when a dirty play occurs.
Now, let me ask you a question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Does Tampa Bay have a couple of guys on the team that, like, you don't take any swipes at Stamkos, do you?
No.
Right?
No.
You don't...
There'd be 4 or 5 guys coming after you in that sense.
Exactly. Okay, so I'll give you another team, right? So you're not taking swipes at Patrick Kane, are you?
No.
No, you're not taking swipes at Sidney Crosby, are you?
Absolutely not. And you wouldn't do it to Alex Ovechkin because of Tom Wilson. And Alex Ovechkin can fight his own fights, and that's that much of another level of player when he can fight his own fights.
See, that's why I loved Lindros. That's why I loved Keith Primo.
Yeah.
That's why I love guys like Johnny LeClaire and guys like that, even like Mark Recchi.
Yeah, it's going away. It's going away. Those guys are
like
less
and
less.
Like, who would have thought? I mean, Rick Tocchet was able to pot a lot of goals, but he had a lot of penalties. Look, I've seen that guy in a lot of That's why his face is so reconstructed, shall we say?
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I watched that guy's face get so smashed so many times. Look, he played so many games for the Flyers and whatever, but look,
Yeah.
we're all on the same page here on this, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, especially extensively, because, and I wanted to point this out. We're not looking for some knuckle dragger that is all they do is they play for 45 seconds a game and they just skate out there every time somebody does something and that's it. We're not advocating for that. We know that's left the game. But there are too many examples of teams and players out there that fill that role, that they can skate, they can put some goals in, and they can stand up for players, and they can stand up for themselves. Too many times during the playoffs, we saw the Flyers' star players, Couturier, Raffle got hurt, spent some time out. G got sliced a couple of times, right? Provorov got out after it, right? Okay. Come on now! And nothing. No retribution. No, no. Look, I understand you don't want to take penalties. And I understand that, and I get it. But if you, as a player, and look, Lance, you played, okay? And you back me on this, my man, because, look, when we played football, now there was no fighting allowed in football. Utterly 100%. There was no fighting allowed in football, okay? And if there was a fight that happened in football, you knew that was some bad juju because it wasn't allowed. Now, practice, that's a different story. Okay? So, in practice, you have to kind of establish that this is my yard and you can't cross into my yard because I'm the bulldog.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Flyers have absolutely nobody on the roster that's willing to do that kind of stuff and stand up for a guy and fight for, his honor when he goes down after a dirty play. And if this continues, there with being no long arm of the law, it's dangerous. A guy like that who can prevent stuff from even happening with just his presence. That's the type of person we want, guys. A guy like Lawson Krause for Arizona, a guy like Max Domi, guys like the Kachuk brothers.
Hello.
Guys that can put up 20 or 30 goals a season, but at the same time, without thinking twice, will drop the gloves. That's the guys we want here.
Exactly.
That we don't have. Not some goon, not some guy that, like we said, just goes out there for that sole purpose. Those guys are a thing of the past.
I mean, even Trent Frederick, didn't you say he was a number 1 draft pick at one point?
Absolutely. And that's what this kid's going to develop to be. And I think one of those type guys. And that's why I picked him, because he's affordable. We could get him via trade. And and he has room to grow still to be that. He's NHL ready next season, but he will continue to develop to be potentially one of those guys that could, at some point in his career, maybe hit 20 goals.
Yeah, and as you pointed out before, we don't have anybody on the team right now that even comes close to filling that role other than Sam Moran. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, look, we've seen that we need somebody on the team for that particular purpose, because guys are taking shots at Couturier, guys are taking shots at Giroux and other players on our team, and there's no retribution at all. We can't be having that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, look, well, Lance, I'm going to tell you what, man. Once again, I think this was man, what an honor to be able to sit here and just talk Flyers hockey with you, my man. You had 2 great articles. And, man, what a great show here, my man. I think we put together another good one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I just want to say one last thing for anybody that's doubting my pick here is Boston, would be probably willing to get rid of him in this sense because they are desperate for defense. And what do we have is defense, okay? They lost Torrey Krug,
Yep.
to free agency, and they still have yet to sign the big
Chara.
man, Zdeno Chara. And that's two huge pieces to that defensive core in Boston that are there no longer.
Yeah. And
So
they don't have a
that's
lot of space either.
Nope, and not a lot of cap space to do it in. So that's why I think some of our guys that are in the depths here in the defense could help them out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you keep going back to that. Hey, let's pluck from other teams. Woes. Why
Yeah,
not? Why
yeah,
not?
yeah.
Okay, I'm with you on that one, my man. Oh man, I'll tell you what. Look, we got some great news here that we want to share with you guys. We had a great interview with James Hardie, and within the next coming weeks here, we're going to be able to put this out for you guys, and we're hoping we can do this in the next either week or so. Put this interview out here for you guys to check this out. It was a pleasure and an honor to speak to him, and man, I'll tell you what, it was great that we were able to grab this, and so we want to put this out for you guys. So I just wanted to let you know about some of the great upcoming things that we got rolling for y'all, and we might have some other guests coming here, some other really big, awesome guests coming up here real soon too, maybe a little closer to the season. And we also said that we could rope Bill in maybe once or twice more too. So we'll see how.
I'll have to hit him up again sometime soon. So.
I mean, I know he's going to be on OMB podcast coming up here on the 7th, so that's awesome. So great.
Yeah,
time.
they've had some great guests as of late on OMB there.
Ooh, gee, wait a minute. Lance Green was. Wait a minute, weren't you on the show the last time? And then now
I was.
Oh, and now they got Bill on? Oh man, I'll tell you. Oh yeah, man, that's awesome. You got to check them guys out. I believe that show's coming out here on the 7th next week. So you got to check them guys out too. So, man, Lance, this was great. I can't wait to do this again, and can't wait to bring some more great things and have some more great Hockey Writers Inc. information for you. You can find that out at www.steelflyers.com/links/Hockey Writers Inc. Lance is your host, and you can follow me. Lance is your host, and you can follow him on
Twitter, guys, at LNGBASSIST, the number's 39, or catch all my articles on flyersnittygritty.com.
Awesome sauce, man. That's great, man. I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers, and I can be followed on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. And please hit the like and subscribe because you guys letting us know how this goes and giving us the comments keeps us rolling on this stuff. And we like to let you guys in on all the great stuff, and we like to hear from you guys too. So please hit the like and subscribe and check us out. And we got a lot of great stuff coming up for you, so thanks for joining us. And Lance, once again, my man, another pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. I got to get busy writing some new articles so we have something to talk about next week.
Oh, yeah, man. I can't wait. All right, man. For Lance and SteelFlyers, this is the Hockey Writers Inc. Thanks, guys, for joining us.